Welcome to my tier list of GTA mods, where these are all my opinion, and my opinion is always correct. Today we will be looking at around 30 GTA mods and ranking them based on my experiences with them, how much fun I had, how influential they were on the scene, etc. The tiers go from S tier, which is the top tier, best, A, B, C, D, and finally F tier for the real stinkers. Only a few things before we begin. Firstly, I'll be considering the time in which these mods were created. What I mean by that is that I'll usually be more lenient if the mod came out 20 years ago, as there were far less tools and documentation available for the mod devs to make use of. Secondly, I will not be including translation-based mods, such as the Turkish and Bengali editions of Vice City, as I consider those separate and I kind of don't want another potential court case. Oh, and also these reviews will be very brief because otherwise we'll be here all day. If you want more information, you can find my playthroughs on this channel. Okay, let's begin. GTA Long Night was one of the first GTA mods ever created, and it is so impressive what they managed to get done considering the times. This has a full story, multiple endings, mission checkpoints, you name it. On the other side of the coin, it runs like pure ass, with a lot of crashes, and the difficulty is absurd, but I will be much more lenient due to its age. B tier. A recent development that leeches off of the Long Night name with zero consent from the original developers, and a much worse product. Terrible mission design, a million bugs to the point where I couldn't even finish it due to every single mission breaking on me until the mod just gave up. Easy F tier. A recent development that leeches off of the Long Night name with zero consent from the original developers, and a much worse product. Sensing a pattern here. The dev team disbanded after I exposed their theft and made another mod called the GTA Long Night DLC, which is even more of a ripoff. Easy F tier. One of the most overhyped mods I have ever played. People praise this like it's the second coming of Christ, but it really disappointed me. There are some good parts here for sure, so it does avoid F tier for now, but it needs serious work to be anywhere near the top, and I'm not sure if they're still developing it. D tier. The hard mode mod that started it all. Made around 2014 by two members of the GTA speedrunning scene, Toughened created an experience never seen before in GTA. Again, some good ideas, but the insane bullshit difficulty really hasn't aged well. A good example is Van Heist, where you can only pass if you find a completely unmarked and never once mentioned NPC somewhere in Portland. Complete nonsense. D tier because of its age, otherwise it would have been D. One of the most divisive and polarizing mods you will ever come across. 50% of people love it, 50% hate it. I'm strangely in the middle. It has a ton of really creative ideas to make Vice City an entirely new game and new experience, but once again the difficulty is nothing short of bullshit, to the point where a mission pass can sometimes be purely down to luck rather than skill. Hardlined Autoside is the craziest mission I've ever seen in any GTA product to this day, and will likely ever see again. The dev is planning to remake the mod to fix a lot of problems, including several crashing issues, so maybe this will climb the ranks someday. For now, it's B tier with the potential to become A or even S tier. Toughened walked so Tightened could run. This is a selection of 3 mods for the 3D trilogy made by Dinosaur Bytes between 2022 and 2025. Twice for Vice City, thrice for GTA 3, and Titandreas for GTA San Andreas. These mods started a tidal wave of difficulty mods for these games, and inspired many to give their own spin on the genre. These mods have it all. Insane but fair difficulty, a completely different player experience, even if you're used to the vanilla product. You can see the high effort put in from a mile away. That being said, I'm going to put them in different tiers. Vice is an easy S tier. It was the first one and it had the most influence by far. Thrice will go in A tier, as it had some rocky moments for me, especially on its release, and it didn't quite hit the same highs as Vice did in my opinion. Andreas is a difficult one as the mod isn't finished yet and isn't even available to the public. That being said, I've been playing a ton of dev builds from Dinosaur Bytes, and the potential is immense. For now, it's also going in A tier along with Thrice, but I expect it to easily rank up by the time it is complete. Another unreleased mod that has a lot of potential. There are numerous SA Stories mods, but I'm talking about the demo I covered on my channel from SA Squad, or SAS Squad, maybe, I'm not sure. The demo has a lot of cool ideas, and it plays fairly well. There are definitely some issues, but you can't fault a prototype nearly as much as the final product. Currently, it's in C tier, but it easily has the potential to move up. Obvious pandering to the GTA 6 hype, low-quality mod, which then changed its name to try and backpedal after the fact. Oh, and the devs threatened me for criticizing it. Easy F tier. Garbage. GTA Vice City Next Gen is another difficult one, as I really want to put this in S tier, purely due to its concept, and the fact that they gave the middle finger to Take-Two by releasing the mod anyway, even with a lawsuit breathing down their necks. That being said, it was in a really piss-poor state on release and needed many more months of work. Constant crashes, nonsensical mission changes, and poor coding puts this in C tier for me. The community are currently patching it up on behalf of the dev team, and I really hope that they move it up the rank it deserves in the future. This mod is next on my list of mods to play, so I haven't touched it myself yet. However, I have talked to other high-level VC players who have tried it out, and they constantly compare it to Hardlined and say that the amount of luck required is even worse. That being said, the dev is also patching stuff as we speak, which Hardline never did. Also, the most damning thing about this mod is that it has been proven to steal concepts from both Hardlined and Titaned. You can find more information about this in my GTA modding situation video if you wish. So for that reason, it goes on the D tier naughty step and doesn't get to go to McDonald's later. If you know anything about GTA modding, you'll be familiar with ASI and Clio files, as that's where all the mod's meat and potatoes are, the skin on the bones, so to speak. They're included in every single mod you'll ever see, except this one. This mod has no plugins or external files, as instead it used the reverse-engineered projects for Vice City as a base and simply modified that. This alone places it in S tier for me, but it certainly helps that it also has a ton of content, very little technical issues, and is overall a really fun experience. In my opinion, the greatest VC remaster of all time. Revised is a wonderful experience even if you're a VC expert. It's a mixture of bug fixes, model reworks, and overall quality of life improvements that make VC a joy to experience once more. Even small details like adding a picture to each of these Sunshine Auto car lists so that you don't need to Google what each of the cars look like. The attention to detail is really admirable. S tier. I've played a couple of these winter mods, and while they're not really my cup of tea, I'll include them nonetheless. They're usually pretty bare bones with some minor visual changes to represent the winter theme, and changed physics so you slip and slide everywhere. C tier. The first mod on this list by Barcode Studio, and a really solid first impression. Early Redemption takes a look at the respective family in a what-if scenario surrounding the events of GTA 3. A cool concept and overall very well made as well. There are some issues, such as the ending falling quite flat for me, but those can be overlooked for a first attempt at such a large project. B tier. Sadly, the same cannot be said for Barcode Studios' second and most recent project, Sindaco Chronicles. This is a mod for the PSP version of Liberty City Stories, which is conceptually very impressive, but they have really struggled to get this thing off the ground in my opinion. The 1.0 release was a complete disaster. Impossible to follow narrative and really poor English due to them not hiring their English spell checker back from Early Redemption. Bugs galore, questionable mission design, you name it, it's all there. This was really disappointing for a mod that only released recently, as it felt like a mod from 10 years ago in terms of quality, but you can't excuse it as it's so recent. The 2.0 update did fix quite a few things, but it also introduced new issues that haven't yet been addressed. The 1.0 would have been D tier, but we'll put it in C tier because 2.0 moved it up just barely. This is a small and niche one, but it changes the gameplay just enough that it's worth a mention. Z menu is a mod menu for the 3D trilogy that has a million different gameplay options, making it extremely useful on its own. But where we need to look is in its gameplay freshener menu, where it really goes deep. Here you can enable half-life movement, which turns the game into a bee-hopping masterclass from yours truly. This is so fun, and I would recommend anyone to try it out. S tier. I've covered this mod a lot on this channel, so I'll keep it brief. It's poor design, stolen ideas from Titan, dev treats users like complete shit. Some cool ideas, but the positives can't move it up from F tier. One of the most influential mods of all time. Made in 2010 by Beginit, who has also worked on numerous other projects you'll see later on in this video. This mod really makes its mark on the scene and is still being enjoyed 15 years later. It definitely isn't perfect, as it has poor pacing and some really piss-poor mission design in some cases, especially towards the end of the experience. But again, as a product of its time, it's really grown on me. A tier. There's a bunch of GTA criminal rushes floating about. I tried 2 of them and they both sucked. F tier. An April Fool's Day mod by Dinosaur Bytes, creator of the Titan series. This poses a hypothetical of what if everything just went well in GTA Vice City. An extremely comical and light-hearted experience that doesn't overstay its welcome. S tier. This one is a real shame, as it seemed to have ceased development right at the start. A hilarious concept of bringing a Terminator movie into GTA San Andreas, and decently well executed. Sadly, there isn't much to go on besides a few missions, but what is there is solid. C tier. Another Vice City mod that focuses more on adding things rather than modifying what is already there. I'm kinda torn on this one, as in some places it feels like quantity over quality, but it does have some really cool parts that aren't seen in other mods. This mod also hasn't hit 1.0 yet, so it still has time to climb the rankings. I'm going to put it B tier for now, but I'm hoping that 1.0 will move it up into A tier. DYOM, or Design Your Own Mission, is a tool for GTA San Andreas that lets users do exactly that. Make their own missions with provided tools rather than making everything from scratch. A really cool idea that is still being worked on years later. And DYOM has allowed thousands of users to make their ideas a reality, for better or for worse. Pair that with the option to play any of these missions randomly from a database, and you have infinite fun. S tier. China Vice is an interesting case, as it's probably the biggest case of development hell the GTA modding scene has ever seen. China Vice went public in 2013, which was 12 years ago, and the project still doesn't have anything more than a demo to show for it. The demo is okay, but it still needs serious work to be considered anything more than that. The team has gained and lost devs over the last decade, with the project going cold and being revived more than a couple of times. I really hope they manage to get something released eventually, because every year this becomes less likely. Their latest release date was set to the end of 2024, and as of February 2025, we still have nothing. C tier. What a shame. The story behind this one is really nuts. A Vice City mod made for the original Xbox, which I'd never heard of before, being completely lost to time as there were no traces of it left online, being found on some random Xbox a Reddit user found, and then finally being dumped online for all to see and play. A truly mental story, and the mod itself is quite mental as well. You don't really do anything besides walk around, as this is clearly very unfinished, but the fact that it exists at all is nothing short of a miracle. Giving this a C, as the mod itself is quite underwhelming, but the story is where it matters with this one. Finishing on a high note, have you ever thought to yourself, wow, GTA is getting kinda stale, what if we just flipped everything on its head? Well, now you can. GTA randomizers allow you to completely re-roll everything that you knew about GTA, and make no playthrough the same ever again. The random element makes this a hilarious experience, and you can come back to it over and over again, and change anything you like. Easy S tier. That about wraps things up. How did your opinion stack up against this objectively correct list? Do you have any more mods to add that you can give a rating to, like mine? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.